what I think these guys don't understand when they say edgy shit like this is the association with Palestinians in a time when like the overwhelming majority of Western populations now identify or are more pro-Palestine than they are pro-Israel. When you make this association, this is one that is beneficial for us. Because could you imagine if the Trump administration was even more deadly? You know, anti-Trump people of all different shapes, sizes, and colors had to like show their paperwork everywhere they went and were constantly under the ever-present threat of a militant ICE. And I just haven't stopped tweeting. I've been tweeting up a storm. I've been tweeting too much. I've been fighting in the trenches, okay? Like, I consider myself to be a janissary of woke. I consider myself to be a janissary of woke, where I'm in the front lines, like I'm doing the dirty work out here, where I'm going to an area where wokes don't want to go to, which is like neo-Nazi, the neo-Nazi trenches of Twitter. And I'm out here posting. It doesn't matter how many times I get ratioed by Nazis, because it's like, it's basically impossible not to get ratioed by Nazis on the Nazi platform, but it's like, it's just me and Connor Eats Pants. We're out there in the front lines doing our very best. Okay. I thought you deleted Twitter. No, I have not. I mean, I had in the past, but I brought it back. But yeah, I have a lot. I've been tweeting up a lot. I said Asmonfold, even folding on his best friend. I defended Will Stansel's honor against raw egg nationalists making fun of him. I say y'all are pussies while he's a lion. You don't have to respond to every shithead. I do. Judge me by my enemies. You know? No, Connor only tweets once or twice a day. You're a psycho with it. Yeah, you are the commander. Stop tweeting at every random Dick and Harry. Unk. No, I will. I will keep it. Because like, while we're in the front lines, there are a bunch of other brigades out there. There's like the libtarded brigade, right? Like if we are the commie brigade in the front lines in the trenches, there's also still like the let's be more moderate brigade out there. And the let's be more moderate brigade out there is like constantly trying to attack their left flank for some reason while we're in the trenches, while we're in the heat of the battle. Instead of like dialing in, locking the in, and just attacking the right, there are still hella people on the libtard brigade that turn around, especially when it comes to Israel. Oh my Lord, my Israel tweets really piss off the Israel first liberals. Like, it's so funny. They done lose their dang minds. I will never like Stancil, and you will never be able to get me to. He still keeps saying dumb shit, but I hope he keeps at the ICE stuff. Yeah, I don't really care. I don't really care necessarily that he says dumb shit. Who cares? Who cares? Bro, you did Gal Gadot tweet numbers with that one? Which one? The Ice Reel tweet had them crashing out. I know. When I said the United States of Ice Reel, they lost their minds. And then I continued to describe. It was so good. It was such a good moment that it literally caused. Chauncey talked about you on stream last night. Oh shit, what'd he say? Bro. That Ice Reel, United States of Ice Reel one did such crazy numbers that it got Nick Fuentes to come out and defend it. Like, it got Nick Fuentes to come out and like combat it. Gotta wait for the VOD, but it was regarding you and Los Polios. Oh, nice. Your Jacobin appearance was mentioned on Majority Report today. Hell yeah. Closed present. Thank you for the 20 gifted subs. By the way, the United States of Ice Reel was coined by you on this broadcast. I baited you into thinking it was doing numbers. You made that shit mainstream. Okay, but I didn't come up with it. You guys did. And it made me excited. It made me so excited that I started using it, and now people are saying it. Yes, Nick Fuentes was defending Israel. It's not even a joke. Like, it's actually not. I've been saying ICEDF. Yeah, where is it? Hold on. Matt Petty had a really good tweet about this, actually, that I wanted to show you because this is very funny. I retweeted it. But the Groypers and the Israel First liberals basically are on board with this. Look at this. Look. Not wanting anyone to connect our psychotic foreign policy for the past 3 years of the military-style occupation of an American city. Okay? I said ICE uses Israeli spyware and is actively trying to deport green card holders and students for speaking out against Israel. But of course, this shill is running cover for the ultra-Zionist pedophile admin once again. He responds with, low IQ Somalians who shouldn't even be here are stealing billions of dollars from Americans. This has nothing to do with Israel. You are left-wing trash that openly supports mass migration and abolition of ICE, but you're hiding behind anti-Zionism because that's more popular. Centrist and fan account. Guy who turns every single unrelated thing into Israel. Wow, obsessed with Israel much? Is that all you care about? And it's really funny because, like, it's perfectly valid to be consistently upset with Israel because Israel is consistently doing atrocities. Like, you can do this argument when someone is constantly going Alex Jones style, you know, Jew. Like, if they're doing that, then you can say that. But you can't really say that about Israel because it's a country. It's not only a country, but it's a country that has like a shit ton of influence over American domestic affairs. It's a country that's still doing a metric ton of evil with, it's still doing a metric ton of evil with like American funds, right? We're its largest state benefactor. So of course, talking about Israel or using Israel as an analog for brutality and cruelty is perfectly appropriate, right? They're saying that because we say Israel is behaving like Nazis before the rest of the world did. I know. And it's not like the surveillance and the weaponry are identical too. So it's like the tactics are identical, the surveillance techniques are identical, the constant presence of being a force is identical. So none of them want to like address the analogy. They hate that you're using the analog. They hate that you're using the analog to begin with, but they have no counter to it because the shoe fits, right? So instead of actually addressing the analog and why it doesn't make sense, they just go, you're just bringing up Israel for no reason. Please don't bring up my favorite ethno-religious supremacist ethno-state, please. Why are you bringing it up? It's like, okay, well, you know, I'm going to keep bringing it up. Eat my dick. All right. Have you read the Kanye West statement? I did. This lady was one of Cuomo's biggest defenders when his sex scandal was breaking out. She got to hate you. Yeah. Heidi Bachram. My husband, Adam Monet's relatives were murdered and taken hostage by Hamas. Find me on Substack. A Muslim. What do you expect? Oh, that's so funny. Like this is what I mean. Like, this is just like straight up. Can you imagine if I was running around being like, oh, that's a Jew. Of course they're saying that. You know what I mean? Like, I would understandably get ass blasted, right? Understandably. Because that's racist as But if you're pro-Israel, you could just say that. If you're Islamophobic, you could just get away with saying whatever the you want to say, you know? It's great. Wonderful stuff. That's a 4chan comment become tweet. I know. All right, I blasted off. Let's get it started because I'm already talking about my takes. I have the Kanye West tweet. Don't worry. New Fioran episode is out as always. Didn't even mention that Fioran was a banger. L promoter. Okay, dude, come on. Ye didn't tweet. He took out a ad, like a full page ad in the Wall Street Journal to apologize to the American Jews, well, not just like American Jews in general, but he was just like, yeah, sorry, I was being bipolar. What I was saying, Adolf Hitler invented the microphone. Yeah, Yadolf apologized. He's just quirked up, man. He's like, my mistake. I had a long extended crash out due to my bipolar disorder, and I would like to be woke again, please. He was like, I went to the subreddits. Big mistake. I went to the r/bipolar subreddit and it fixed my bipolar disorder. Like, I'm no longer, he said, I'm not gay no more. I am delivered. But instead of gay, it's for anti-Semitism. You know? Yeah, we'll obviously be talking about TikTok because the Amer-Israel years of lead is here. The Amer-Israel surveillance state, the Amer-Israeli surveillance state is here. Awesome. Love that. Why do people keep saying Barry Pack Watch? I tweeted a few weeks ago, I didn't think Barry Weiss would be a CBS by the end of the year, and I still think I'm right. Barry Weiss will hold an all-hands meeting. I think y'all are crazy if you think Barry Weiss is going. Maybe I'm wrong, but her entire purpose is like the editor-in-chief is literally to do what she's been doing. Everyone's fleeing to Upscroll, but it's Australian. Yeah, I know that it's an Australian Palestinian who owns Upscroll, but it's Australian app, so I don't trust it at all. I'm gonna be honest. Like I would trust an application that was built in Russia or China more than I would trust an application built in Australia. Get mad at me all day, every day if you want, but those countries at the very least, like with Telegram and whatnot, are outside of the boundaries of the American surveillance state. And like anything that you say about Israel is going to get suppressed in any platform. Like Australia is literally part of Five Eyes. It will crack the whip. The only reason why Elon somewhat allows, all this like shit talk is because, well, one, the kingdom of Saudi Arabia is now winning the good graces of the Ummah a little bit because they've decided that they are going to war with the United Arab Emirates again. And also they're no longer as like pro-Israel. And they are one of the major benefactors for Twitter. That's part of the reason. The other reason I think is because Elon is like, oh, I'm for free speech, so everyone can be a Nazi. I want everyone to be a Nazi. So that's like, I assume that's part of the reason why like Elon Musk is a little bit more open-minded about letting, Israel-style sentiment to thrive. Bro, weird shit is happening out here. Thoughts? What is this? Raise hell, praise Dale, free Palestine and ICE. Wait, what is this? Love my NASCAR leftist? What are you talking about? I'm so confused. Why are you sending me this stuff? This is a video game, isn't it? This is just a NASCAR video game. That's not like a real car. It has like John Brown on the hood, but you can't. NASCAR only turn left. True. Yeah, this was funny. Michael Cohen, not Trump's former fixer. I'm shocked to see an anti-Semite blame Jews for violence in America. Great job, John Favs, Tommy Vitor. Like, again, they got no response for this. It's just anti-Semitism. Okay, that's it. I said the siege on Minnesota is where you really see the West Bank occupation tactics on U.S. soil. Constant militarized ICE presence on the streets, illegal detentions, killing people trying to defend their neighbors, and labeling them terrorists. Fascism is colonialism turned inward. It's here. Now, the correct counter to this is to say, let's be real, we taught the Nazis a lot of our, eugenics movement, and a lot of our treatment of minorities on U.S. soil is what actually influenced the Nazis to do the Holocaust. And then, like, Israel carried on the tradition of fascism. And then now America has never really stopped doing fascism, but is basically just like accelerating its version of fascism. So it's not necessarily like America's learning from Israel. And that's true. There's truth to that. But none of these guys are even saying that. They're just mad that I'm making an analog between Israel, which is a very, very unpopular country, for the reasons why he just can't stop. Like, they got nothing. It's just they keep posting my good ass takes. They just keep posting these takes and going, nah, why? I can't believe it. Why would you say such a thing? It's like, I'm saying it because it's true. And the reason why you can't counter it is because it's true. And that's why you just complain and you go, please, why won't somebody stop this man? They're just too lost in the sauce. They assume you're mentioning Israel for no reason. Yeah, I guess that's the mindset for them. It's like, oh, I'm using this as an opportunity to like disparage, the beautiful nation state of Israel, the most moral nation on the planet. And it's like, yeah, let me not elaborate on why your take is bad. It's just wah is bad. Yeah, the reason why it's all just like crying to the referees over and over again is because there is no counter to it. That's why they're just crying to the referees. And they think they can like bully John Favreau and Tommy Vitor over this. Tommy Vitor's response was really funny. I'm glad you could leverage this tragedy to nurse your grudge against a podcast that hosted someone you don't like at an event last November. And it's funny because it's like, it's funny because like I know what their perspective is. You know what I mean? I know what I know where the Pod Johns are at. Like they are trying to do as good of a job as like maintaining a big tent in a way that like previous establishment Democrats have never even considered, right? Like the Pod Johns are, love it, hate it, doesn't matter. Love it, leave it, whatever, right? No pun intended. They are actually trying to manage this like large big tent situation and lean heavily into the further left flank Democrats. Like they're pushing for a lot of Bernie-crats. They are totally on board with that. Okay. They see the writing on the wall. They see the necessity of like leaning into, some modest social democracy. Now, they're not communists by any means. Okay. They're not like rugged anti-imperialists by any means. I mean, they worked for the Obama administration, even though like I would say that some of their opinions are like Quincy Institute adjacent, if you catch my drift, especially when it comes to foreign policy related stuff. Like it has been an interesting journey. Ben Rhodes seems to have evolved a little bit. Yeah, for sure. But Hasan, we can't trust libs. Brother, I don't think you guys understand. Okay, you can say this if you want, but they're the largest like self-IDing political movement. Okay, and not only are they the largest self-identifying political movement in this country, aside from reactionary MAGA. Okay, plenty of them actually are totally on board with the Bernie agenda. Okay, so if like we don't have room to just like shutter our doors and gatekeep socialism and communism and like leftist ideology. Like that's ridiculous. You're being ridiculous. Go out there and convert people. Like what is wrong with you? Because they are aligned. They just don't have the political education at all. Politics isn't really about trust. You shouldn't really trust anyone in politics. It's about having convergent interests when it comes to good policy. Yes, but it's not even just that. It's not even just that. Very rarely do you actually meet someone who is ideologically invested in and is well read enough to be ideologically invested in like liberal capitalist democracy. Okay. A lot of these guys who are self-IDing as liberals are totally on board with like, social democracy, for example. Like the people that are antagonistic towards like Medicare for all or any of these sorts of initiatives, any of these sorts of government initiatives that are just like incremental gains in the direction of social democracy that other comparable OECD nations already have by design, are insane people. They're not actually speaking to a real majority of liberals. You guys always go, oh, dude, these guys are all liberals. Like, we can't even align with them. They're not on board with us. And it's like, you have to understand that so many people, and I don't even just mean self-identifying liberals, I mean like conservatives even, are totally on board with left economic populism. It's just that you don't get to experience that because you don't get to broach the subject matter at all. And I'll give you the example of the MAGA parents that I had the conversation with. Like the mom was straight up like pro free healthcare, free education after like an hour-long conversation. Okay? And white supremacy oftentimes is like the major hurdle to overcome here, but you have to give people the treats and the broccoli at the same time. If the broccoli itself is like, converting people away from having white supremacist values that are fundamentally important to them, right? You have to feed them some treats ahead of time. You have to like, put a lot of cheddar on top of the broccoli or something, maybe some bacon bits. And the cheddar and bacon bits in this analogy would be free healthcare, like things that improve their material circumstances, right? That's what you have to put at the forefront of your movement. And then boom, do a switcheroo and go, hey, you like free healthcare? Okay, great. You're on board with us. But also you can't be doing this like trans people shit. You know what I mean? Like they're going to get healthcare too. I don't get it. Can you give it to me in a burger analogy? No, because burgers are delicious and you have to use like an analogy that people understand that is like somewhat healthier for you. And she went right back into saying her kids should be shot for leaving the house. Wait, what? Who said that? Oh, the mom, the MAGA mom from the MAGA, Mary Lou. Watch today's conversation. Yeah. Oh God. All right. Anyway, libs are so primed for socialism for the most part. It's easy elo. Bro, look at Zohran Kwame Mamdani. Okay. You got a quirked up democratic socialist, 34-year-old Muslim from Africa. Okay. And he is one of the most popular political figures in the country right now, and especially for Democrats. Please do not tell me that the movement is wrong, okay? Please do not tell me that the method is wrong. Do you know what happens when you have people like Zoran as like nationally relevant figures that people can lean into? They look at that and they go, hey, guess what? That's what socialism is? I'm on board. What the f-? That's how you slowly but surely build this movement, because we are still at the infancy stage of building a real socialist movement in this country, because a lot of people don't even self-identify as socialists. A lot of people do not have the political education to understand what socialism actually is. So you have to do your very best incrementally, marginally, to move people into that direction. And not only that, but also, like, these guys are regime pilled, right? They're regime pilled. A lot of these Democrats are pilled for the regime. They just go along with what they've been taught. And what they've been taught is blue no matter who. Democrats are actually going to save the country. Just vote for the Democrats and that's it. That's your civic duty. And then you're done. You know, it's one and done. I voted for Kamala Harris. I'm done. I did my job. Now it's up to everybody else, okay? But those people would vote for any Democrat. If there was a straight up communist, okay, running for office as the D, okay, with a D next to their name, they would vote for that person and they would defend that person's policies. They'd be like, what do you mean? A moneyless, borderless, classless society seems pretty good to me. You know? That's it. All they care about is the D. They are like Maoist in their loyalty, in their idolatry, in the like zealous ways in which they demand loyalty to the leadership, loyalty to the campaign, loyalty to the movement. And of course, unlike the actual Maoist movement, there are no material benefits that are associated with this revolutionary process, which is not even revolutionary at all. It's bourgeois. The Democratic Party is not offering any sort of real material benefits. So yeah, you just have to work within the confines of permissibility. You have to work with what you got. And a lot of people don't want to work with what they got. A lot of people want to close their eyes and just assume that the world is supposed to be a certain way. And I like that. I understand that, but that's not how things work. Anyway, so yeah, here's Groyper Nick Fuentes also defending Israel, saying Israel has nothing to do with ICE. And then also Centrism fan account saying the same shit. Guy who turns every single unrelated thing into Israel. Wow, obsessed with Israel much? Is that all you care about? Meanwhile, MAGA mouthpieces who are openly pro-Israel are saying shit like this. The American left has completely adopted Palestinianism. Everything is done to provoke law enforcement for a clip to create martyrs. None of these people actually care about this guy beyond how useful his corp is in the fight against the Orange Man. I don't think these guys understand. Like, this is unironically, this is a person who's super edgy, but he's like supposed to be an alternative to Nick Fuentes, who just like says a bunch of Groyper shit, but is pro-Israel, right? Like, his role, Captive Dreamer's role, is to be a white supremacist who is pro-Israel and not anti-Semitic, right? Every now and then he'll like lean into the anti-Semitism a little bit in order to maintain the base, but his sole purpose there is to be a response, like a total industry plant response to Nick Fuentes is like, unlimited anti-Semitism. He's a MAGA LARPer from Canada, a white supremacist loser. But what I think these guys don't understand when they say edgy shit like this is the association with like Palestinians in a time when like the overwhelming majority of Western populations now identify or are more pro-Palestine than they are pro-Israel, right? When you make this association, this is one that is beneficial for us, because this actually, in my opinion, can help some people in the margins identify with the resistance. It will make them reconsider why the resistance operates the way it does. Because could you imagine if the Trump administration was even more deadly and the Trump administration was infinitely worse in its cruelty and its brutality over and over again and its lack of interest, where Democrats had to literally, like, liberals and anti-Trump people of all different shapes, sizes, and colors had to, like, show their paperwork everywhere they went, and also had to drive on their separate lanes in the highway, and were constantly under the ever-present threat of a militant ICE they would probably take up arms and start doing what you would consider, an insurgency movement, what Americans consider terrorism, right? They would do that. Of course they would do that. What do you mean? There is no feeling more pure than the emancipatory need that every human being has, okay? It's the most understandable position that people can have, which is to emancipate themselves from the throes of a reactionary occupation. So when these guys go, this is Palestinianism, I think they're actually unironically making my argument for me. Yeah, it is Palestinianism, you idiot, because that's also a movement. Palestinians are the Palestinian resistance is a movement that is comprised of orphaned sons that get together and decide to militarily resist against a violent settler colony, a settler colonial occupation that is maintaining an apartheid in the West Bank and doing a genocide in Gaza. So yeah, in any case, so that's like another one of these things. Also, I saw this one. I had to dunk on this. This is my favorite style of dunking on the people that go, the concept of criticizing capitalism while she has a labubu dangling off her mic. I said, will defend capitalism and have no capital. Where's your deed to the factory, Jeff Bezos? I've just decided I'm going to make the stupid argument reversal every time. I'm going to do buyer logic every time because a lot of these dumb hogs only understand and respond to that kind of dumb argumentation. So I'm going to hit them with a dumb argumentation. I've decided that's the smart move here. That's the appropriate move here. It's the smart move here. I'm just going to flip it. I'm going to flip it on them every time. You are one of the few sin eaters of the world, Hasan. We will always be with you. Yeah, there was also another aspect of that sin eater shit, which is so funny because like Hood Genius has been getting canceled on Twitter. It's an account that like was an NBA Twitter account that's like been popping off for a while now. It turns out I think he's a Somali dude from Minneapolis. He's pretty young. And he's been getting canceled because in like 2021, when he was like 17, he was like saying, being gay is a disease or like a mental illness or something. And it's very clear that he's not like that any longer. But people are like cynically posting his old tweets to be like, oh, dude, look at what you said when you were 17, like 5 years ago. And it's like, bro, people change, man. Let people change. I hate that shit, right? I hate that shit, right? And Dead Domain says, yeah, screenshots are forever. Being gay isn't a preference of disability, right? It's like objectively a homophobic thing to say. It's objectively up. It's objectively stupid. Who gives a He was 17. Like, it was 5 years ago. He's 17 years old. He's very clearly not that person, right? I hate this shit. So he said, I was 17 when I made that tweet at the time. Clearly, I don't have the same mindset as I did 5 years ago. I love y'all. And if you're offended to what I said, I'm sorry. I didn't mean no harm, right? And if you're one of these guys who still maintains this like vindictive attitude when you didn't even know about this person's past behavior at all and you found out about it and now you're like, well, fuck this guy, there's no shot that this person can demonstrate growth, then you're an idiot. You're a loser. You also personally went through that journey. You're just fortunate enough that no one actually found out about your past, okay? Let people grow. But the reason why I'm talking about this is because I responded to Dead Domain. Dead Domain said, we got to let this kind of woke hand-wringing go. Let people grow and learn and change. Nobody's the same now as they were 5 years ago. We can't act like a tweet is enough to say this person is still bad when we should be building coalitions. And let me tell you something, okay? The irony here is I am one of those who for like at least the last like 13 years, like the most like reactionary shit you can point to that I've said is like from literally 13 years ago when I was trying to do a satirical like dating show that we very quickly deleted because it sucked, right? And they just like unearthed those videos and have constantly recirculated over and over again and be like, remember when you were making these dumb jokes? And it's like, yeah, I do. I've talked about it quite a bit, actually. I've talked about it because it's growth, or shit that I've said that was transphobic, right? Or not a dating show, but like a dating advice show, right? Like it was a bro dating advice show that was like satire, but it was bad. It was bad. Like it was just not good. But a lot of people love posting that to be like, oh, dude, like, look, we got you. You're a grifter. It's like, bro, that was 13 years ago. Okay, 13 years ago. Yeah, let the kids be homophobic a little. Can't we just say it's a bad thing to do even though he was 17? Glad he grew and changed, but don't excuse his shit. No, this is not an excuse for what he did when he was 17, you moron? How are you a 54-month subscriber and still fail to comprehend what I'm saying? What I'm saying is constantly throwing that back in his face when it's very clear that that's not who he is any longer is unproductive. Okay? It's unproductive. That's it. Everybody's still, there is like a tendency though on the left where people do still want to reduce you to like your worst moments, you know, your dumbest takes, the silliest, dumbest, most reactionary things you've said. And I hate that. Anyway, I will always be a firm and committed believer in change. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I responded, I said, I think most people who still do this are reactionaries, but there's still a decent chunk on the left who fall for this kind of bait. It's so frustrating, right? To which Hood Genius went, Hasan is defending me? Ohio shock. Not gonna lie, I didn't know this was gonna happen. W Hasan. To which I responded with, lots of on this website don't have the faintest idea what my worldviews are. They just see the agenda heavy clips and never investigate further, Lamau. Like, this is my number one take. If there is one take that you can identify with me beyond, like, you know, Israel, it's this. This is my number one take, my most consistent position for the longest time. This is what I think differentiates me from a lot of my peers as well in this movement, or at least, like, I've been saying this since 2016. I've been saying this since 2014, 2015, 2016. Right? So, like, let people grow and change, or have a commitment, have a firm commitment to the belief that people can grow and change from their past positions. That's unironically what I've been pushing for years and years and years and years, okay? And yet, for some reason, people are always shocked because they don't associate me with my actual opinions, but they associate me with, like, what they see as clips on the internet. Okay? People actively supporting genocide have been pushing hard to present you as a purity tester. I'm not. I'm actually much more open-minded than a lot of other people on that issue as well, because I understand that, like, in order for change to happen, you need to bring people on board. And if the overwhelming majority is deluded into thinking that Israel is the most moral nation on the planet because of multiple billions of dollars of propaganda that has, like, been baked into their consciousness for the last 3 or 4 decades since they've been alive, then yeah, of course they're gonna have, like, pro-Israel takes, and it's hard to, like, pull yourself out of it, and you have to be a little bit more charitable to people who do end up pulling themselves out of it, and not immediately assume that they're sinister or cynical. There are those who are cynically grifting. Asmongold is a great example of this. But the average person is not actually the same as, like, a MAGA spokesperson, right? So yeah. Open Presence, thank you for the 100 gifted subs. Check logs, I disagree. This is, like, the first time I've heard about this guy from his homophobia. I feel like if I have to go around being gay and having insults thrown at me, this guy can live with a little bit of pushback. I get hate for being gay daily. Yeah, that's the point. You didn't actually know that this person had any homophobic opinions. And the only reason why this was brought up from a 2021 tweet when he was 17 is because recently he's been popping off on the timeline, actively going after the Republicans. That's the only reason why they look through his logs to be like, oh, back in the day, you had some cancelable offenses, okay? That's the point. The point is, that's not what he is known for. It's not like he was, like, consistently spreading, like, homophobia to a massive audience or whatever, okay? No, he was a 17-year-old with homophobic takes, with homophobic opinions, and very clearly he has grown out of it, okay? And if you see someone who's very clearly grown out of it, and you still find out for the first time ever that they had, like, some takes that don't correspond to what their current worldview is, yeah, this is an NBA Twitter guy who defends trans people and woke, basically an endangered species. We must defend and cherish him. But even if he wasn't an NBA Twitter guy, it doesn't matter to me. Okay? You literally preloaded the convo with leftists, still fall for this shit, and chat proceeds to fall for this shit. I know. It's one of the most annoying things out there for leftist people. Damn, Chauncey spoke highly of you, mainly for you backing up your advocacy with actions and participating in collective action. Hell yeah. Same chatters applaud Speed today when he did way worse when he was 16. Exactly. That's why I love Speed. Okay? That's why I love Speed. Because I Show Speed was a psycho when he was, like, 15, 16 years old. He was a complete psychopath. Okay. He was doing some heinous shit that I don't even want to bring up. Don't even look into it. Okay. And he, through that environment, grew on his own. Okay. He grew on his own instead of continuing along with like the most insane, high impact, nuisance streamer shit that he could have just as easily done. He moved in the opposite direction and he became like a wonderful person who just like goes around the world and just has fun and he's chill and he's like a cultural ambassador. Okay. We have to cherish people like that. It's W growth. Okay. Age shouldn't excuse shittiness. I don't care. Everyone has the capacity to be shitty. I'm willing to bet that you were shitty. You probably still are shitty. Okay. Everyone is shitty. Human beings are imperfect. This is a long time ago. I described this as the intersectionality of privilege. Okay. Everyone has privileged blind spots. Everyone is a part of the intersectionality of privilege. And therefore, there are always going to be blind spots that you have that cause you to be not super woke on certain issues. And as a matter of fact, reactionary on certain issues. But if you grow out of it, if you grow out of that, then that's awesome. That's wonderful. I will always cherish you. I will always ride for you. Okay? Because we cannot afford to be talking down. Speed isn't talking to and hanging out with Aiden Ross. Some people still are. Exactly. We cannot afford to talk down to people who have actually on their own demonstrated growth. Like, what are we doing? Nazis never do that. They literally love when people start leaning into like neo-Nazi style sentiment. They're always so open. They're always welcoming with open arms. Age does excuse being shitty. And if you don't think so, you're probably a child still. When you are a few years older, you will realize this. A lot of people get their records expunged at 18, consider their internet records expunged too. Yeah. I've been following Hood Genius for a while. I'm a Bucks fan. That's why he has demonstrated so much growth in terms of politics. He's a Muslim Somali. And like I said, he's grown a lot and defended the rights of immigrants and marginalized communities. But the thing that most people agree with him on, including me, is that Doc Rivers has to be fired. Oh, okay. People take for granted how woke their household was and don't realize like what other people are going through. They only think about like the impact that they've had when they've been targeted by homophobia and how much that hurt them. And that's understandable, right? That's understandable that you're thinking about it as like self-preservation, where you think, oh, we're going to bring these people into our movement, but then what if they do it again? And it's like, okay, if they do it again, they're out. Okay, calm down. Like, but while they're in the process of like not doing that, and especially like openly demonstrated that they've grown from that kind of behavior, you cannot constantly like slap them in the face with that shit. It's so dumb. You know? Shaming someone for their growth out of their heinous positions only encourages them to revert and change in the opposite direction. Exactly. We make it so difficult. We make it so goddamn difficult for people to grow and change. We make it so annoying and so difficult. Meanwhile, all these other people on the right, on the reactionary side, all the neo-Nazis are welcoming people with open arms. They're like, oh, you're like kind of tangentially pro-Trump. Okay, step right in, sir. You're a part of the movement now. And that shit pisses me off. You know? Anyway, now people will try to test the boundaries of this stuff by being like, well, what if someone is a Nazi today and then tomorrow says they're anti-Nazi? What then? And it's like, okay, dude, like, obviously it's situational as well. Okay? It's situational. Open Presence, thank you for the 100 gifted subs. Where was I? What is this? Why is every single anti-communist like this? ICE exists to enforce migratory laws. Also, I refuse to be a hypocrite. I spent 5 years of my life saying the only good communist is a dead communist to oppose when ICE starts to turn communists into good communists. Charlie is a idiot. That's awesome. Oh no, Charlie is purging some of his most annoying fans with his latest takes. Oh no. Why did you share that with us? I mean, what do you mean? Those are like those are the people that are all up my ass all the time. Like, could you imagine? I'll use an example of my anti-Zionist advocacy, right? Could you imagine if I spent every day yelling at people who were like, you know what, Hasan, I didn't really fully understand this stuff post October 7, and I might have even said some heinous shit towards you, but now I get it. You were right, and I'm here. And I just constantly slapped you in the face with that. That's like half the community, man. Half this goddamn community left after October 7 because they were just completely oblivious of the ways in which Israel had maintained an occupation, maintained an apartheid. And they were not ready to hear someone go, no, October 7 happened because of Israel's gruesome occupation. Okay? A third of this community left. There were plenty of people who left, and then they came back. What am I supposed to do? Yell at them to be like, haha, guess what? I knew the correct position. I've been maintaining the correct position for a decade now. Like, I know more than you. Like, shut the fuck up. It's so dumb. You know, some people get duped. It is what it is. What matters is what people do now, not what they've done in the past, okay? What matters is what people do now. Now, of course, there's also obviously like, there's obviously some people that will, another sense trying to farm you. Bro, I saw this. I'm like, who is this guy? Who is this guy? When we get through this to the other side, remember the people that were fence sitting as well? The Hassan Pikers and the Chapel Roans said both candidates would do this. Remember them? They use their influence poorly and shouldn't be trusted in these conversations. I click on the profile. They're a Taylor Swift stan. Okay? And I find that very strange because, like, yeah, these people said that they were pro Kamala Harris, but where the is Taylor Swift on Palestine? Where the is Taylor Swift on ICE? Chaperone hasn't stopped doing advocacy on all of those things. Like, you can't be sitting here talking about multi-billionaire superstar celebrities who have been noticeably absent for the conversation as your neighbors are getting slaughtered, while you think personally that, like, the end all be all was to say you have to vote for Kamala, she's the best. This is actually who I was talking about, by the way, when I said, like, these are the dumb who have, like, you know, like they have like a absolute fealty to dear leader. They're like, you have to praise dear leader, right? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Well, when we get to the other side, who the are you? When we get to the other side, who the are you to tell me that this is actually your movement? This is all of our movement, okay? If you're anti-Trump, you're a part of the same group. There is no, like, when we get to the other side, we're going to purge these communists. Yeah, that's exactly what Kamala Harris tried to do, dumbass. That's why she lost, partially. And it pisses me off because it's like, where's Kamala Harris now? Dumb bitch. Where is Kamala Harris? You dumbass. Where is Kamala Harris? She could be out there. She could be out there in the streets. These dumb love talking about how, like, Kamala is the great fascist annihilator or some shit. Of all the criticism, you're a massive reason for this, you fence-sitting apolitical grifter. This guy said I'm apolitical. Of all the criticism you could try to make of Hasan, apolitical fence-sitting or grifter has to be the dumbest attempts. He has the most consistent positions and never equivocates between positions. You don't like that he was right about Kamala running a weak campaign. Apolitical? What fence am I sitting on? The fence outside the gulag? What do you mean? Yeah, the only fence I'm sitting on right now is I guess, like, the fence between Maoist Leninist, Marxist Leninist Maoism, third worldism, and, like, I guess, you know, the more traditional Marxist Leninist principles. Is that the fence I'm in between? Is that what it is? Yeah, I'm in the fence. I'm on the fence between, you know, personally self-IDing as a communist or self-IDing as a socialist, I guess. That's the fence I'm on. Anyway, and I will repeat this over and over again. These people are not real. They're not broadly representative of the movement in general. And we know what the broad representation of the movement looks like, okay? Because we've been out there. I've been out there. I've seen it, all right? Yeah, I'm on the fence sitting along the China DPRK border. That's the fence I'm on. Bro, I saw commies calling you a lib on Instagram. The left do make it super difficult to be inside the group. Yeah, I don't care about that. That's fine. Who cares? Yes, commies call me a liberal. They spend every waking moment talking about how dog shit I am, all this stuff. What is this? Lol, the Republican regime is sanctioning murders in the streets and violating the Constitution. This useless who helped put them in power is partially responsible for the death of 2 innocent Americans. Still can't shut the fuck up about Obama presidency and the Democrats. Yeah, this one is this content creator is also nutty, but it doesn't matter. This was your most apolitical moment. True. Do not engage alert. Do not engage. I know. I'm not even going to engage with her. She is, it's fine. You need to accept your position as kingmaker. I know. Yeah, on the fence. Meanwhile, this was me 7 years ago.
Is Gestapo, a state-sponsored law enforcement division created to wreak havoc in our communities, separate families, and punish people, well, overwhelmingly people of color, for the crime of wanting to pursue the American dream.
You know? Yeah, Mr. Fence Sitter, dude. It's so crazy. We used to do vote blue no matter who only during the election cycle, but now they just say you can never criticize Democrats. I know. Yeah, well, I'm going to keep doing it. Okay, you can suck my dick from the back. Okay, if you got an issue with that, well, get a better campaign. Okay, build a better movement. Build a better movement. Get a better campaign. If your campaign is so dog shit that a random Twitch streamer can undermine it, even though Beyonce and Taylor Swift were propping it up, okay, then that's not a campaign at all. And that's kind of my point. Okay? God damn. I'll be out in the fucking streets. You can keep doing your TikToks talking about how, you know, Kamala Harris, like, y'all are wrong for not voting for Kamala Harris. Like, even though mathematically speaking, even the third party voters could not have actually made up for the electoral defeat of Kamala Harris. That's number one. Number two, I didn't even urge people to vote for Donald Trump. I just said I'm not going to endorse Kamala Harris until she has a firm, committed position to stopping Israel's genocide. That's a perfectly valid take. And I absolutely stand by that. As a matter of fact, I kept repeating over and over again, this is the reason why she's going to lose. And lo and behold, she did lose. So I was right. And that's precisely the reason why in the that's precisely the reason why, with the exception of all these Twitter charlatans who are still trying to go back to like, oh, it's actually the left is the reason why Kamala lost over and over again. It's the dumbest analysis of all time, are not being taken seriously. They're not. I'm in this like Schrodinger's kingmaker position all the time. Every election cycle, I am the most powerful figure, the most powerful kingmaker in the Democratic Party, but also I have to be disparaged and cast aside and no one should listen to me. If I am that powerful, sorry, you got to listen to me. If the constituency that I have is a make or break it situation, you have to listen to me. Which is it? And I will say, I don't think I'm a make it or break it style individual at all. I'm just simply responding to what I am seeing that is up about the campaign and openly saying it. I'm not going to lie to my audience. I'm not going to lie to my community. I'm not going to lie to people. I'm always going to say the truth. Okay? This shit's going to get clipped into oblivion. It's true, though. It's true. Because I don't think I'm that person. I don't think I'm this like kingmaker in the way that these guys try to present it as. Okay? These guys try to present it as though I'm a kingmaker. I'm not. I don't have the motion that Beyonce has. I don't have the motion that Taylor Swift has. And even their push to go out and vote for Kamala Harris didn't do enough. One must ask the question, why? And it's so goddamn frustrating because I hate the Republicans. I don't want Republicans to win anything. That's the reason why I'm so critical of the Democrats, because they constantly run towards the Republicans. They hug the Republicans. They kiss the Republicans. They want to be Republicans. And I despise that. Oh, your advice is valid. They just don't understand it. And it's like the dumbest place. It's the dumbest time to do this like vote blue no matter who shit, because demonstrably the population is pissed off at the Democrats as well. So these guys are chirping at an increasingly smaller audience over and over again. They do not have a real world representation. It's like on the one hand, you have the vote blue no matter who, like the Blue Anon, the Blue MAGA coalition, right? And they represent like 5% of the voter base. On the other hand, you have the unlimited ultra MAGA coalition on the right that love Donald Trump no matter what he does. That's vote red or else I'm dead, right? And those guys represent 20% of the base of support. The rest is up for fucking grabs. And that's precisely the reason why right now the Democrats are seeing unprecedented unpopularity when normally they should be popular by default because they are the default counter party. They're the default opposition party. And yet they're not popular. One must ask the question, why? And I know why. That's precisely the reason why there's 40,000 people in here listening to what I have to say. That's the reason why politicians are coming on the show. That's the reason why all these other adults that write these analyses on, mainstream newspapers and whatnot are like, oh, let's hear what this guy has to say. Turns out he was right. We were not so right. That's the reason. It's not because I'm hot or some shit. Okay. That's the reason why people come here. But they don't want to understand it. I voted till I was black and blue, and now all I want is Tylenol. Democrat diehards unironically have the love it or leave it position that right-wingers have, but for left of center politics, it's no different than the rebuttal is the same. You just want your side to be better. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It's so stupid. And people are still pushing this line, even though, like, people are pushing this line, like content creators are pushing this line for the most part, but there's no real audience for it. There's a lot of appetite for more radical politics on the left. And let's be real, from where I'm standing, the more radical politics on the left is not even all that radical. It's very common sense, as a matter of fact. I think it's common sense to be for Medicare for all. I think it's common sense to say, Israel. Why are we giving them billions of dollars so they can keep murdering children? You know? It's common sense to look at the hypocrisy of the Democrats voting for the Lake and Riley Act, voting to give ICE more funds, and then turn around and go, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't do that again. Okay? These Kamala CIA hive people bots are in ecstasy right now. All the oppressive policies they would have supported under a Harris admin are being carried out by Trump, and they get to do the sanctimonious scolding of the left, all without having to lift a finger. Yep, exactly. Like, it's crazy. They don't want to understand that, like, part of the reason why people didn't vote for Kamala Harris is because Kamala Harris did not do a good enough job presenting the dangers of Donald Trump. As a matter of fact, she leaned into one of the most dangerous positions of Donald Trump, which was that undocumented immigrants constitute a national security threat. That was new. That was a new meta. She didn't separate herself from Joe Biden. And if we don't do these sorts of autopsies as to why this campaign lost, to lost again to an incompetent tyrant, to an incompetent fascist, then we will never be better. We will never be able to defeat the Republicans, okay? And I'm sick and tired of this shit. Here's another great example of this, okay? After the forced sale of TikTok to U.S. owners have finalized, the Democrats' official TikTok account has had their uploads suppressed, going from millions of views per post to 0 in their latest short. This brings me to my first story of the day. The Amir-Israeli purchase of TikTok. And Democrats did this, okay? Democrats were the ones under the Biden leadership that saw what was happening with Israel and saw that, like, younger generations were seeing exactly what Israel was doing, the atrocities, seeing it on TikTok, an algorithm that was previously not controlled by the United States of America, okay? And they were terrified of it. That was what allowed this forcible sale to be pushed through. It was because of Israel. Anyone that says it's not because of Israel is a delusional liar. It was 100% because of Israel, okay? 100%. And they've openly said that it was for Israel. The politicians that pushed TikTok's sale away from the hands of the Chinese owners into the hands of an American owner openly said that it was for Israel, that they were making this push, okay? Straight up. They said it over and over and over again. And the Democrats pushed for it as well. And now they're eating that dick all over again. We're all eating that dick all over again. Good job, guys. Good job. For the last couple of days, there is no news on TikTok, okay? If you do any sort of news posting on TikTok, you get 0 views. And they keep saying it's because of a power outage. You know what it is, ironically enough, okay? One of my editors, let's say, lives in another country, okay? A country that has, and I know this from my own personal experiences with, Turkey as well. In some of these other countries where there is no free speech or none of this, none of these sorts of things, sometimes you'll experience blackouts, okay? Sometimes you experience blackouts on social media. And those blackouts on social media are not like because there's some sort of like back-end problem. Those blackouts are happening because they want to, fix the algorithm, okay? And that's exactly what they're doing. And here it is, by the way. If you want to understand why this is happening, let's hear it. TikTok's new CEO, Adam Presser, told the World Jewish Conference that the platform bans criticisms of Zionists. He said that while users can declare they are proud Zionists, describing someone as a Zionist in a derogatory way is classified as hate speech. Dude, it's so funny. Like, there's so many conferences like this. It's like World Jewish Conference, International Jewry Conference, like all of this stuff. Like, where these guys will get together and just be like, we are doing this for Israel. Okay, you understand me? We love Israel. We want to make sure that everybody thinks twice before they say anything about Israel. If you say something wrong about Israel, we're working with Palantir to identify exactly where your home address is, and we will be sending drone strikes to your home. Every time. Every other week, there's another Jewish conference where Miriam Adelson is being asked, like, how many billions of dollars would it take for you to get Donald Trump to actually nuke Iran? And she's like, oh, I don't want to say publicly. What the like, what are you doing? Like, this is just bad for OPSEC in general. They're just dabbing on us. They're dabbing on us.
Designate the use of the term Zionist as a proxy for a protected attribute as hate speech. So if somebody were to use Zionist, of course you can use it in the sense of you're a proud Zionist. But if you're using it in the context of degrading somebody, calling somebody a Zionist as a
yeah, this is what the ADL did to Twitch too, by the way. That's why you can't call someone like a insert term Zionist. Zionist bleep. You can't say that. Okay, is literally a banned term now on Twitch as well. Shouts out to the ADL for that one. Apartheid Defense League.
Then that gets designated as hate speech to be moderated against. Over the course of 2024, we tripled the amount of accounts that we were banning for hateful activity. We also have, I think, over 24 Jewish organizations that are constantly feeding us intelligence and information when they spot violative trends. There is no finish line. There's no finish line to moderating hate speech.
Yeah, hate speech is, by the way, anti-Israel speech. That's the only type of hate speech they care about. That's it. Oh my God. Oh my Lord. Holy shit.
Trying to keep the platform safe. There's no such thing as an end game.
So the agreement for TikTok to sell its U.S. business to GOP-backed investors was finalized a few days ago, and now you can't mention Epstein, Lamau. Wait, what? No, I don't know if this is real or not. But as I said back then, when TikTok was being sold, as I said back then, I would much rather have the Chinese government. I would much rather give the Chinese government access to all of these like personal points of data, which, by the way, TikTok, under the American surveillance apparatus, now has access to. I would much rather give all that information to the Chinese government than to have the Israeli government have that, okay? I would rather give that to China than to give it to Israel and to give it to the United States of America. 100%. 100%. They're suppressing everything. These guys that keep saying, oh, Chinese this, Chinese that, Chinese surveillance, Chinese censorship, all of a sudden, they're showing us what Chinese censorship actually is supposed to look like. Here's friend of the show, Phineas. The fact that this video has 0 views and TikTok is completely silencing this is insane. It's terrifying and everyone should be very scared. I said, so glad our American billionaires bought TikTok to do pro-Trump and pro-Israel propaganda and we no longer have to experience Chinese-style censorship. Of course, if you ask TikTok, they're claiming it's because of a power outage. Bullshit. Bullshit. This conference clip is literally this.
Haben Sie mich gerade als Nazi?
Yeah, I know. That's, I mean, there's more to it though. Like, dude, people who are pro-Israel, like Zionists in the United States of America and all around the globe, have basically looked at all of the anti-Semitic conspiracies and were like, let's use this as a checkpoint of what we can do and what we should do, okay? It is virtually impossible to talk to the average person nowadays about how, like, anti-Zionism is separate from anti-Semitism and that Israel is actually doing this as a fascist state and that they're masquerading as though they're doing this for Judaism. It's bullshit. It's impossible. It's literally impossible. I'm like the last soldier standing on the hill fighting this battle where most people are just totally past that point where they're like, yeah, okay, dude. Okay, buddy. Sure, bud. Yeah, I'm sure. It's insane. It's insane. Like, dude. Like, these guys they're basically, like, they are openly purchasing major newspapers and major social media platforms and trope maxing. Okay? We have a secret network of top law firms working with us. Is definitely going to help reduce anti-Semitism. Thanks for your good work, anti-Semitism spreader-in-chief Jonathan Greenblatt, says Zachary Foster. ADL CEO Jonathan Greenblatt says every anti-Semitism complaint filed with the ADL is now immediately scanned by their AI systems to see if there's a litigation opportunity they can forward to their network of 50,000 lawyers. Last year, in partnership with Gibson Dunn, we created something called the Legal Action Network, Greenblatt tells a gathering at a synagogue in LA. We've assembled 50 of the top law firms in the U.S. to create a pro bono coterie of literally 50,000 lawyers. And so now when you enter in an incident ADL, it instantly gets evaluated by our AI systems. Is there a litigation opportunity? And we feed it to the lawyers to evaluate it and to find someone to take the case. It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing at this point? Like, what the are we doing? Sends in the chat. What is this? I'm a TikToker. You've reacted to my content. Oh, this is the swagged out Chinese. Hold on. They got timed out because their post was too long. I'm a TikToker and nothing is working right now, but I do suspect they're using the storm as a cover to tweak the algo. You've reacted to my stuff. I do political satire sketch stuff, but I guess we will see just how suppressed everything is. My normie friend who makes less political stuff is also getting 0 views, but he has a view one-off anti-Israel shit. It's a bummer. Be this outside of censorship too. This is a decent amount of income I'm losing. Yeah, this is the TikToker that did the you met me at a very Chinese time in my life. Like, cooked my ass. 25 month subscriber, sends rules. God damn it. Son of a bitch. But yeah, apparently they are actually censoring the Epstein thing. Yeah, it is real. Days after US took over majority ownership of TikTok, the word Epstein has been censored. As I said, when this ban was first being pushed through, Americans have far more fear from U.S. government controlling TikTok than the CCP for the simple reason that all governments have far more interest in censoring what their own citizens see than a foreign population. That's it. That's it. I'm still seeing everything, but I've noticed all the content has no impression anymore, even mainstream news. My feed was showing me all old stuff yesterday, but today I see all my old political content, but apparently no one else is. Americans sleepwalked into a fascist regime. I mean, yeah. But this is why I criticize the Democrats, because they have no capacity for foresight, where they just like literally operate at the mercy of capital, just as the Republicans do. Like, this is it. This is my point. If you're mad about this TikTok algorithm change, or if you're mad about TikTok like now being in the hands of a psychotic Zionist, ultra-Zionist billionaire, okay, who purchased it specifically so he could do this, then remember, the Democrats literally were the ones who initiated the process of this sale. They were the ones who voted for it. They were the ones who promoted it alongside the Republicans, but they should have not done that, okay? That's my point. Just as Democrats are the ones who voted to increase funding to ICE over and over again. If you're on that ICE principled stance right now, as I have been for decades, then of course you're going to criticize the Democrats when they're saying, no, actually we're pro-ICE now. What the I hate this shit. I hate being punished by the dumbest on the internet for having a consistent position that they now arrived at yesterday. And it's not even a consistent position, because I know for a fact that if Democrats were in charge and ICE was still doing mass kidnapping operations, maybe not to the same extent and same severity as Donald Trump is, because he's making a show of it, because he's specifically using ICE as a domineering force to like harm blue cities. But if they were still deporting the same number of people, right, but they were doing it more quietly and more process focused, a lot of liberals would be fine with it. It's crazy. Taylor Lorenz is absolutely correct. Reminder that it was the Biden and the Democrats who enacted the TikTok ban because pro-Palestine speech on the app. Biden knew that Trump would install friendly billionaires to take it over, and Biden went through with the ban and defended it in court anyway. We're not saying this because we want you to stop voting for the Democrats, okay? I'm not saying this because I want you to stop voting for the Democrats because I'm like a secret Republican. I'm saying this because we need the Democrats to actually be an opposition party, a counter messaging party, okay? You can't have one party that's going into full tilt fascism and the other party that's actually going into like, you know, a lighter version of full tilt fascism. What you get in that situation is just fascism. If you're an anti-fascist, you have to be an anti-fascist. You have to demand that there is an anti-fascist party. And it's out of our hands anyway. Because if that doesn't happen, eventually people are going to take matters in their own hands regardless. This is not about being right, okay? I don't give a shit about that. Anyway, this is what Phineas said as well that got suppressed. Let's see.
In the United States through truly a countless number of school shootings. School shooting after school shooting after school shooting after school shooting. And the conservative argument that allows school shootings to continue has always basically boiled down to We have to protect the Second Amendment. We have to allow people to carry weapons. We have to allow people to own and carry weapons legally. And, oh, some little kids die. That's okay with them. Unbelievable argument, by the way. Every argument I've seen for why Alex Preddy's death was justified yesterday is like, well, he had a gun. Shut the up! You've spent 30 years straight telling us that children have...
I don't know how much of a fan Phineas was, though. He regularly reposts Hasan fan content on his TikTok legend. Yeah, no, he's my goat. I mean, we also talk all the time as well.
Have to die.
There is... Hasan made an app for ICE to use. Yeah, dude. No, I did. Yeah. I still work for ICE. I work for the Department of Homeland Security, and I also work for Immigration Customs Enforcement. Yeah, I'm a programmer. God, Redditors are so stupid. I mean, who cares? Yeah, sure. That's true. It's real. Yes. I'm a programmer. I know how to code. I lied to you guys about my incompetence with, all matters of technology. Yeah.
So that we're allowed to legally carry weapons everywhere in the United States. This guy was being beaten to a pulp on the ground. He didn't draw his weapon. He had a weapon on him legally. And they shot the out of him and killed him. So shut the up. We have been telling you for 30 years we don't think people should be allowed to have as many guns as they're allowed to have or carry them legally around the United States. We've been telling you that for years. You've told us that it has to happen. It has to continue. Children continue to have to die to allow us to carry guns around. So shut the up.
Good day to revive this piece. Conservatives once rallied against federal agents, now applaud them. This makes sense when you realize that an essential fact of the U.S. right, the guns were never for the government. They were for the slaves and natives. They only became for the government when said government did anything to marginally improve the status of the slaves and natives. This is why there's a contradiction in name only. It's a category error. Go read Ron Paul's newsletter from the 1990s and their list of government intrusion on a list of things that could be perceived as helping minorities. It's dripping with Turner Diary, paranoia, and anti-Semitism. The don't tread on me shit. Wait, what is this new DHS discourse? When I was in college, in I think my junior year, I don't even remember. It was literally in 2011 or 2012. I had a course credit. And I worked to do like the designs on a website that was a part of the Department of Homeland Security's like research initiatives or some shit. I don't even remember. And I guess I brought it up like 8 years ago or something on TYT, and they've unearthed this like major conspiracy that I actually worked for ICE. And I did. I coded the ICE website. I coded the like ICE surveillance. Is what they're trying to say. Deeply unserious people. That's the new meta. Dude, these guys genuinely don't care about anything. They don't care about anything at all. God forbid a guy get college credit. No, they don't care about anything. It's ironic because like it was Bad Empanada that initially started talking about it. And then now Ethan is bringing it up, but it's like, it's so stupid. Okay. Yeah. I'm a federal agent, dude. I was a federal agent and now I'm a whistleblower. Okay. How about that? Cause like, that's my favorite kind of conspiracy because it's the type of conspiracy that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And it's not even like going to make me look bad at all because I've held a very consistent position against federal law enforcement, against ICE, against the Department of Homeland Security very publicly for years. So like, even if, at some point, even if their suspicions are correct, which they're not, right? It's a insane conspiracy theory. But even if it was correct, then that would actually give me more bona fides to actually talk shit about the Department of Homeland Security now. You know what I mean? All you're doing is making me look cooler. Like I was a, embedded federal government agent who realized how fucked up it was. And now I'm like, now I've turned. Now I've turned on the federal government. Okay, sure. Yeah, okay, I'll lean into it if you want me to. I don't give a shit. Yeah, I'm a veteran as well. You know what the worst part about ICE murdering people in the cold blood on the street is? Your hypocrisy, but it's not, there's not even a hypocrisy there. You know what I mean? Like, what is the hypocrisy then? Does it ever feel weird knowing that you're a lot of people's main news outlets? No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. I take this responsibility very seriously. Also, yeah, it's like this is not a hypocrisy either, because I'm not the type of person who's like, oh, if you're an anti-imperialist, even though you're a veteran in the past, like then you're fake. Like that. I just spent the first hour of the broadcast talking about how like people have the capacity to change. They have the capacity to learn from their past mistakes, their past behavior, no matter how heinous they might be, the crimes even. I am a believer in rehabilitation. So for that reason, I don't really give a shit about who you used to be, as long as you've actually learned from your past mistakes and grown. And therefore, even this thing that they're claiming, like in the most maximalist position that they're trying to advance, where it's like, I'm a software engineer secretly, and I work for the Department of Homeland Security directly or some shit. Like, okay, sure, great. Yeah, I did. I didn't, but if you want to believe it, I don't care. 75 in a row. Baba Doobie. Baba Doe. Not Baba Doobie. Biba Doobop. By the way, TikTok's now completely controlled by America, and Epstein shit and Israel shit. Censor now. Israel. Trump is a pedophile. Nice. Yeah. Look at me single digit typing and go, this guy was a coder. He was one of the best programmers of all time for the FBI, and also for the Department of Homeland Security, and also for ICE specifically. It's like, okay, dude, sure. Famous hacker, man. Hasan Reactions is one of the best ones in the React channel.